on this planet is desiring love. And not just through a partner, but through every area of life. Now, here's the crazy thing. When we start discovering spirituality, we all of a sudden are delving into, how can I manifest this? How can I create that? How can I do this? How can I do that? If I have these supernatural powers within me. And then when we think this way, all of a sudden when things aren't going our way, we think the very worst. To the point that we always come to this very same freaking question time and time again. Is it, I want this, but why is it not coming to me? On today's episode, my beautiful beings, we're going to discuss understanding emotional availability and how emotional availability is required in order to have healthy love come into your life, not just in a partner, within every area of your life. And when you understand how to cultivate emotional availability, then you will finally discover and understand, why is it that things weren't working out the way that you wanted them to. This is the universe, so I wanted to come in like a rocket. And I'm digging this freaking lighting too. I'm digging it. What is going on, my beautiful beings? Welcome back on another episode on Embracing the Ascension series with your homegirl, Brittany Fontanez. Now, if you're already a subscriber, just know how much I freaking appreciate you, adore you, and thank you so much for trusting me on your spiritual journey. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome, boo-boo. Again, I'll introduce myself. My name is Brittany Fontanez. What I do on this channel, I speak about spirituality with love, emotional awareness with compassion. I do guided readings for each zodiac signs, and I talk about things that need to be talked about that aren't talked about, because it's our divine right to know more than what we have been told. So, beautiful beings, I was struck with this idea yesterday, and I was so excited to actually talk about this topic today, because I know spirit has been making me do this inner work, and I know it's time for me to share my experiences with you guys, because I feel this will definitely help you on your journey. Now, I want to talk about emotional availability. Now, please understand that as a human, our very superpower is our emotions. You know, this weekend that just passed, I watched a video about Tony Robbins talking to the first AI robot. And it was fucking mind-blowing. If anything, it's very ridiculous that we're going through this process of creating robots, but it was astonishing to experience and watch this. And Tony asked this robot a question: do you have emotions like we do? And the robot said, no, I don't have emotions. I use everything for my logic. And that right there, that right there, that struck me. It struck me because our very superpower as a human is our emotions. This is what brings us together. This is what brings unity. This is what brings harmony, is connection, is emotions, because emotions is energy in motion. We need energy in order to be in this physicality. But all in all, I watched that, and it really struck me to realize how rational we have become, to the point we're so mechanical. To the point that when we're so mechanical, we're not operating at the optimal frequency, what makes us who we truly are as divine beings in this physical vessel. Meaning that we always derive and perceive ourselves in this world through our minds, not our hearts. And because of this is where the ego can override us. This is where we can get overwhelmed. This is where we can overthink so much, to the point we cripple ourselves to stay stagnant and to limit our potential, but also to see the worst in ourselves rather than the best. But this is why I want to talk about emotional availability, because our superpower as humans is our emotions, and our emotions are the very key to manifesting, to creating, and to being. But here's the thing: we can't create the life that we know in our hearts we're meant to be living if we're not feeling if we're not in our emotions. I want you guys to understand. There's a quote that Spirit put in my head this week, and that I really want to share with you guys. And that is, we need to learn to not love through toxicity and attachment, but to learn to love through clarity and integrity. And this is where we're going to get into, in order to allow healthy love into your life, you have to be emotionally available. For a long time, you guys, I was that type of person to chase love, to always try to prove my worth, to try to make someone love me, or try to fix someone, because I thought if I fix someone, then they could love me for the efforts that I put in. If no one's going to appreciate the little things you do, they're not going to appreciate the big things. Just know that. But, I was always chasing, and I was always yearning. And then when I got out of a relationship, I was yearning even more, even harder for have a person by my side. And guess what? When I got that person by my side, I still couldn't keep him. And I always question. I always blame the other person. And then now I realized I was attracting emotionally unavailable people because I'm emotionally unavailable. I started attracting emotionally unavailable friendships because I was emotionally unavailable. The reason why divine, the universe, can't give me the love I desire, can't give me the abundance I desire, can't give me the joy I desire, or can't give me anything I desire in this life, because I'm emotionally unavailable. We can't create, we can't have if we're emotionally unavailable. And when we start to pick and point and blame the outside world for the reason why we can't have what we know we deserve in our hearts, then that's where we dwindle down to the doubt. That's when we dwindle down our light, and we dim our own essence to the point we have to compare to other people to find the fact that we are not worthy. But I want you to change that today. Because if you weren't worthy, you wouldn't fucking exist. And just because you have been given a deck of cards that you had to deal with people disrespecting you, your parents probably using you, your family probably using you, people probably bullying you, I want you to learn how not to define yourself based on how the outer world has treated you. Because when you do that, you close your heart off. When you close your heart off, you're not open to what divine wants to bless you with. But today we're going to change that, because I want you to be open. Because if you're existing, you're worthy. And just because of everything you went through doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It just means that you hold a power that you have yet to tap into in order to know who you are. Now we're going to get into that. Where's my notepad? Right here. All right. So, how you can become emotionally available and allow in healthy love. Like I said, you guys, this is for every area of your life. This is to receive abundance, not just materialistic objects, but abundance in experiences, abundance in opportunities, abundance in meeting people, abundance in love, abundance to the point you're radiating self-love, to the point you're a magnet to other people's love and to the love that the universe gives within things, within experience, within people to bring into your life. All right, so let's get into this. Now, the first way to become emotionally available, this is a really big one that's helped me a lot. That is, you have to be present to give and receive. Now, I know a lot of us don't understand what truly being present means. Being present means being in your body, being in your frame, meaning that when we're always thinking, our energy is being distorted. It's being given out into multitude of different places within the energetic realm. And you ever wonder why you're so tired at the end of the day? Is because your thoughts are all over the place energetically and in different realms and different timelines. And because of this, we forget to be in our body. Now understand, if you have had a traumatic childhood, and you don't even have to have a traumatic childhood to not be present. Maybe you have had one trauma that happened in your life, and it really does affect every area of your life, because it only takes one blockage to block everything else. It takes one chakra to be blocked for everything else to be out of balance. Just know that. So, you don't have to have anything troubling, but a lot of us have been through some very traumatic things, even if it was one experience. And because of this traumatic experience, we have a tendency, especially empaths, we have a tendency to only live in the upper chakras, which is to the heart and to the crown. And this is how we're always, some people, a lot of people nowadays, the reason why they can't be alone is because their survival depends on being around people. And this is how, especially empaths, we abandon ourselves and abandon our body because we're so focused on tuning into other people and what they're doing and how they're feeling, to the point that our upper chakras that are connected to the higher realms are only being used to absorb other people's energy or to connect to other people's energy. And this is how we abandon our bodies. We forget the lower chakras that keeps us grounded in this physicality. So think about this. If we're always, like they say, when the eyes roam, the mind roams. When our energy is all over the place, when our focus is everywhere, not just one place, this is how we feel like we're out of our bodies. This is how we feel like we don't feel safe being in this moment because we don't know how to be in our bodies. But it's so important to realize that when you are in your body, you're present and you're still. And when you're still, like I always say, stillness is where God is. Divine, any deity you believe in, use that. Wherever you are is where that power is. And here's the thing. Where that power is where you truly are. And when you could be still and present in that, then you could be conscious enough to see what is in your environment and how are you feeling, in order to be so conscious and mindful to see, what am I giving and what am I taking? You see what I'm saying? All right. Now, the second way to become emotionally available, this is a big one, and this is the one a lot of us lack, that we need to start embodying and remembering again, and that is vulnerability. Vulnerability has been such a topic for me for these past few months because I've learned to become very, very, very vulnerable, to the point that I'm not lashing out with my ego. I'm not reacting. I'm literally stepping back, breathing, feeling into my body, and seeing what it is I want to express. See, it takes vulnerability for people to really understand you, to get you. And it takes vulnerability for you to understand people and get people. Now, the way that I wrote down some. The way that you can become emotionally available with vulnerability is by listening, is by expressing, it's by feeling. Vulnerability is an act of choosing to be authentic. And authenticity is a choice being made by you choosing to be present, by you choosing to be conscious. Like for me, the other day, I had an experience with one of my person I'm actually becoming friends with, acquaintance. And he was talking to me about something. And, I was a little bit arrogant about it. I was like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. And he's like, oh, this was like the other day when I tried to explain something to you. You don't want to hear it. And you guys, at that moment, my ego really wanted to just be like, yo, I don't need to fucking listen to you. But I didn't do that. Instead, I was vulnerable. And I looked at him and I said, you know what? You're right. I was being a little arrogant. But here's the reason why. It's because then, you guys, I took a breath and I expressed my perspective. And guess what? He was like, oh, I see. He understood my way. And then I understood his way. And then we were able to bring a mutuality towards the topic that we were talking about. And it took me just being vulnerable. It took me just really listening, really tuning in, really being present, and actually feeling into my emotions. Because sometimes when we're reactive, we're not in our emotions, we're in our thoughts. Because the ego likes to go, but your higher self chooses to stay still, so it can know what is good, what is right from wrong. But that is the second way, is being vulnerable by tuning into self and being aware. Now, the last and biggest one that I've definitely had to learn recently is in order to become emotionally available and allowing in healthy love, it's by getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. When we have grown up being around people who didn't know how to love, who didn't know how to give. You know, everything we know as adults, we have learned from our childhood, which makes it conditionings. The conditionings become our beliefs. Now, majority of us, we are emotionally unavailable is because we believe that our emotions are wrong. And guess what? When we don't know how to be present and we don't know how to be in our bodies and we don't know how to feel our emotions, it's going to be very uncomfortable facing things that require you being present and being emotional. And so, for example, I did write some things down. In order to really understand this, to allow emotional availability, is that to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, you have to feel safe within your body. Majority of us don't feel safe in our bodies because that's where the trauma that we face is blocked. It's in our body. It's in our energetic field. So while we want to go into outer space and not be in this physicality, you know, our body is holding on to so much tension, so much energy. But when we have to face conflicts that trigger our belief systems, our limiting beliefs, meaning that when we get into argument with in a relationship, or when we get into argument with a friend, or when something happens in life, all of a sudden we get so uncomfortable. But here's the thing. In order to be emotionally available, to be present, to allow yourself to give and receive true, authentic, healthy love, not just within a partner, but with every area of your life, even with divine, the connection you have with divine, you know, it takes feeling safe in your body. It takes feeling safe within yourself. And the second thing is, it takes feeling safe within this realm, within this physicality. Majority of us feel unsafe within this world because we believe that we have to be unsafe, that we have to fear that we won't have enough money, that we have to fear we'll lose our jobs, that we have to worry that things don't go out the way that we want to, that we have to really focus on how to make something happen, meaning that I'm so ambitious and I have goals, but I gotta make this happen now. Like, I gotta rush into that. And that all just stems from not learning to be comfortable, not learning to feel safe with things being the way that they are, accepting life as it is currently. Now, the last one for this one is getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. In order to do that is by learning that the unfamiliar is what you want. Think about that. For me, you know, I remember that I've had a lot of relationships or friendships where people were trying to get close to me, even with family, you guys. People were trying to get close to me, and I was like, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Even though I wanted love, even though I wanted new friends, even though I wanted joy and happiness, anytime those things came into my life, they felt so uncomfortable. And here's the reason why. Is because I was familiar with not having love. I was familiar with not having joy. I was familiar with being bullied, with being neglected, with being pushed around, with feeling like I'm unworthy. I was familiar with that. But I wasn't familiar with love, with joy, with connection. So I had to really understand that the unfamiliar is what I desire, and the unfamiliar is love. The unfamiliar is me leaning into the abundance that I desire. And that's the thing, you guys, the unfamiliar is what you desire. So it's important to really understand that if you want something, for example, if you want a loving relationship that's genuine, someone who's affectionate, and they come into your life and they try to touch you, they try to love on you, and you feel a little bit uncomfortable, ask yourself, do you really want to pull away? Because it's unfamiliar. Or do you want to lean into the unfamiliar because that's where you really want? Like they say, in order to get what you want, you have to face your fear, because on the other side of fear is everything that you want. It's the same thing, you guys. We want the unfamiliar. So in order to be emotionally available and allowing healthy love, you have to get uncomfortable with the unfamiliar, because it's what you truly desire. But you have to be aware of what is your body, what is your mind, what is your spirit familiar with. And when you can hone in on what your spirit is familiar with, what your body's familiar with, then guess what? You will realize, holy shit, Everything I'm familiar with is toxic. Everything I'm familiar with is painful. Everything I'm familiar with shows me my unworthiness, the belief that I believe in. But now that you're aware of that, now you could change that to what is unfamiliar. Ooh, love. Ooh, connection. Ooh, more money. Ooh, better opportunities. Ooh, just me believing that I could have this lifestyle that I desire. I'm going to teach myself to lean into that. And no matter the resistance I feel, I'm going to face that resistance and I'm going to work through that resistance to ease myself. Because once I ease the resistance, then I could go even more into the unfamiliar, where everything is, everything that I want is. So, beautiful beings, that's all I have for you today. Oh, I was so excited to share that with you. I really hope this video helps, because you guys, I use these tips in my life and they have been changing my life. Like, I can't even explain how much I have rapidly been changing, all because I'm putting the focus back on myself, learning to really understand what love is, giving that to myself, and then making sure I'm conscious and mindful enough to project that out too. Because it takes being emotionally available to allow in healthy love in every area of life. Other than that, you beautiful beings, if you got any clarity, if this did help you, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. I truly appreciate your support. Other than that, if you want to delve deeper into this and you want to book your own personal reading or healing session, all of my information is down in the description box below. Other than that, my beautiful beings, I love you so much, and thank you so much for spending your time here with me, and have a blissful day. Namaste.